Private Resurgence is a place for new players to get all their items, but what can those items do exactly? Today we'll be looking at the Fragor, we'll walk through its stats, we'll see what this weapon's specialty is, and let's just jump in and take a look. As usual, we'll start by taking a look at its stats. The unique trait is actually important, and let's just see what this weapon has to offer, what makes it different from the other weapons. So we'll start with the attack speed. It is very slow. Keep in mind, this is a hammer, so most hammers have very slow attack speed, which normally gets counteracted by high base damage. Also, the range, 2.6 meters, pretty good. Too bad we're not going to use it just like the attack speed. The slam damage is 540, which is whatever. Slide attacks, whatever. Combo duration, 5 seconds, which is also regular. And the follow through of 40% is very low. Before we go to the rest of the stats, combo duration is 5 seconds. I need you to know that if you run specifically this skin, you can see top right, this variation of the hammer has 5% faster swing speed, but negative 1 second combo duration. You get 0.84 attack speed and 4 second combo duration if you run this skin specifically. Not very useful, but just wanted you to know that it's there because it's specific to only Fragor. So to keep going with the rest of the stats, crit chances insanely high. 40% is crazy. You guys know now about the normal melee setup, which has Blood Rush as critical chance mod, and it has Galvanized Steel as our critical chance mod. If I would do that with this weapon, you have a 260% critical chance without having to mod anything extra. That is crazy high. That's 60% chance already getting red crit. That is very high and makes this weapon pretty strong. Critical damage 2.5 is also pretty good. Could have been a little higher compared to the crit chance, but this is what I got. Status chance 80%, which is very low. And then we go to the IPS weighting. It's an impact weapon. It's a heavy weapon with no follow through. What fits that perspective is having a lot of impact and low puncture. It is what it is. This weapon doesn't really do much for that. You can kind of ignore the IPS on it. Then most importantly, the unique trait of this weapon, which is why I said we're not going to use the attack speed or the range. Because the unique trait of this weapon is gaining 30 extra initial combo count. That makes it so you can get way higher initial combo counts with this weapon, which makes it very good for stuff like slam and heavy spam builds. That is what we're going to look at today. We're not going to look at the regular build because the regular build would be just regular build that I have shown at all times. If you quickly want to see it, I will not explain anything for it. This is what a regular build looks like with always that flex spot, tennocreate in it. Do with this what you want. You can still use this weapon for it. The attack speed is very low. There is not a lot of follow through, so I wouldn't even mod range. You have 2 flex spots. But in my opinion, this is not what the weapon is made for, so this is not what we will be looking at. We will be looking at its unique trait and what that has to offer, because that's what makes this hammer unique. First build is a slam build. I'm not a fan of slam builds. They all feel a little one-sided, but it exists, and this weapon is actually very good for it. To quickly walk through our mod order, we have base damage here with prime pressure point, and then we have seismic wave, which gives slam damage, which is actually a different multiplier, which means there's no diminishing returns. So these two together actually work without losing out on extra percentage that we are modding for. Next up, galvanized reflex and corrupt charge. This is in total a lot of initial combo. Combined with the unique trait, you will go up to 8x initial combo, which is very high. If you're doing normal slams, we're gonna show you a different build because of the 8x. Galvanized elementalist is next, just because we're modding for electricity to let the electricity deal more damage, a little bit of status chance next to it. And then for our crit mods, we have sacrificial steel and organ shatter. The reason we have sacrificial steel on this is because I will be doing heavy slams, and this mod doubles in effectiveness on heavy attacks, so it's actually 440% critical chance. If you don't like heavy slams and you want to do normal slams, you still won't really use the initial combo, but maybe you're just used to normal slams. Actually, Blood Rush is better. Because of that 8x combo, Blood Rush will get 280% critical chance, and Sacrificial Steel is only 220%. So if you don't like using the heavy form of the slams, please opt for Blood Rush instead. For now, we are going to build around the heavy slams because it's the stronger one, and we'll go for Sacrificial Steel and a bit of crit damage from Organ Shatter. The reason we don't mod range is because that doesn't apply to slams. The reason we don't mod attack speed is it doesn't apply to slams. The only way you can improve the slam radius of a slam is making a high jump. They changed that pretty recently. If you're a returning player or you're a new player, the height of your jump determines the size of the slam radius. And don't forget, if you have a good ability for it, slams can be animation cancelled. Very good abilities for that are Zada's and Shock Trooper. Zada's is also a very high damage multiplier for slams. So if you're looking at loadout builds, you can cancel the animation with Zada's Whisper, and it's the best you have. You have now seen the difference in slam radius. Now you're gonna ask me, why electric? This weapon is an impact weapon, which makes it mid at best. So to overshadow the impact, we're going with pure shocking touch, which is 90% electricity, because if we do the 60-60 mod, we will actually not have more electric than impact, and we want more electric than impact. So we're using shocking touch and melee influence. I have tried a few builds. I've tried Prime Thief Strike with afflictions, because there is a force lift on the heavy slam, but this weapon kind of just feels very awful. That is because of the impact. There's just not a lot to work with besides high damage. So in order to actually use that high damage, we are opting for melee influence. Keep in mind, a lot of the damage you will see is melee influence damage. That's just how insanely strong this arcane is. It's stupid. I try to use it as little as possible, but this weapon definitely needed it. Also, the slam radius. See, I only hit 2 now. And I hit the whole group now. Big difference in slam radius. Melee influence is active, and everything is getting ragdolled. It's beautiful. Once you get a little bit of the combo up, you will see we are start to do good damage. Another important thing about combo, a lot of people don't notice. If you use a heavy attack, your combo actually multiplies your final damage. So if I'm at 8x combo, I actually get an 8x multiplier on my damage. This weapon does work best on groups, so when they're ragdolled like this, it's just making it kind of hard. You see what I mean with if you roll the impact, it's very mid, and if they're electric, they're actually dying. Okay, there we go. But that's the melee influence. The reason the melee influence works so well right now is because of the heavy combo multipliers. You can just see them all exploding for 0.5 mil. The combo multiplier is multiplying the initial damage, which in that is multiplying the electric proc, which is then multiplying the influence damage. It's a nice train that keeps on going. A little snowball effect. You can see it just explodes the whole group. All because of the initial damage multiplier that is so high from the Fragor with the slam damage, with the melee influence damage, with the 8x combo multiplier. Normally you're only able to get 5x or 6x. It's very interesting. And this is your average slam build with just high multipliers. That is basically what the Fragor is offering you. If we now go to a new build, because slam, like I said, I'm not a big fan of it. This is literally all it does. You can add Zada's Whisper for more damage. You can add Roar for more damage. There's a lot to it, but that's min-maxing. You're getting your 30x initial. You can slam with it. You now know this. Please use it however you want. I saved it with influence. You can go afflictions. Do something funny with it. For the other build type that we can do, if we have a lot of initial combo, we're gonna spam heavy attacks. And now we're getting to the interesting part. Once again, base damage, initial combo, sacrificial steel. And now we get to Amalgam Organ Shatter as a crit damage mod, because it gives us heavy attack wind-up speed, so the animation is faster. Normal melee elementalist, so the animation is faster. Prime Fever Strike in. Weeping Wounds as our final. This is basically a 60-60 mod on crack now. We're needing 2 slots for it, but you don't really need much more on this weapon. Look at it like this. We have a lot of toxin waiting now. We're gonna use that by doing the heavies that has a force lift, which means we're gonna run afflictions this time. These 2 mods make the animation quicker. Afflictions will add a lot of toxin procs on top of it, and the weeping wounds will get a lot of weeping wounds bonus because we'll go to 8x combo again. Final mod in this is dispatch overdrive. It's movement speed after heavy attack. I just have this in as an extra because I had the mod slot. You don't need this at all, but if you want to fully max out your build and you're just saying I'm sending it with the forma, instead of a tennocreate, this is actually better now because we're gonna spam heavies anyway. Tennocreate is gonna be useless, but you can gain this movement speed after your heavy attacks. And since this is a heavy attack spamming build, you'll get a lot of movement speed. How this works is you just press your heavy attack button, which for me is middle mouse click. You'll see I rolled impact this time. Yippee. Now modding for range would technically help, by the way, to hit more enemies at the same time. I'm just out of mod slots. I'm already at 8x. Those previous enemies actually died. Did you see the DOT takes on that? 2.3 million. 2.3 million. If you roll the toxin. This is why we have weeping wounds, to increase our chances at rolling toxin. That's why I think it's better than having, 3 and a bit, because I got a red crit. But yeah, I think Weeping Wounds is better than range because it increases our chance at rolling a toxin status instead of hitting a lot of enemies. This is kind of single targeted. Well, it is funny to see this much DOTs. Alright, you can see they're slowly ticking away. Also, did you see that the first enemy died and the other two took a lot of time? That's the 40% follow through. Only the first enemy hit gets 100% damage and then it declines very steadily. But yeah, this is a heavy spam build and you can see I now will have increased movement speed. It's also showing on the top here as above, dispatch overdrive. So this is kind of Xmas killer you could use it for. That's what I do a lot when I use a heavy spam build. So then I switch my prime pressure point to condition overload and I will just use my guns to kill normal enemies. And then every once in a while, this for even more damage. I would prime this one. Yeah. There we go. That's a lot of damage. You would just use your normal guns for your surroundings, and then every once in a while, you'll just need a single hit to kill a heavy enemy. And then I would use this. Let's see. I don't even think we get to see the DOT now because of the sheer amount of damage it does. No, I now just did 4 million as a hit. So that's what the heavy spam would be good for. Like, the initial combo stays there for a very long time, and the Galvanized Reflex is pretty easy to stack up. So this way, you can just use it as a Xmas killer. Keep in mind, if you're using it for Xmas, Afflictions doesn't work when they have the Overguard. As soon as the Overguard is removed, you can use it. Yeah, you saw the high damage. If you're going high damage and you don't want to destroy the Overguard, you can always just melee Kareen. The initial combo, or the damage is higher if you just freeze them with Kareen and then melee them, because the afflictions will not apply to Xmas, but also not to Acolytes. Acolytes are also rectal immune, so I actually will not use any of the afflictions. If you want to use it for all those enemies, I would suggest running melee Kareen, because then you get something like that, 22 mil. There you go. I got lucky with a viral roll, by the way, but that's still a 7 mil if I don't roll viral. So, once again, the heavy spam build looks like this. Don't forget about the Amalgam Orchestrator and Melee Elementalist. Very important. If you don't prime pressure point. And then the Arcane, like I said, is also kind of free here. You could go back to Influence with Electricity. I just really tried to use it as little as possible. So I am going green instead. Also, Exposure would be funny if you use an ability to prime enemies. All of this, go ham. Animosity doesn't work, sadly. Duplicate doesn't work for red critting. All of the rest you can forget about. So Afflictions, Exposure, Influence are kind of your best options. And then Kareen is a crazy good option with a lot of CC as well. Crowd Control, not Crit Chance. So yeah, these are my two forms of building the Fragor. When I build a weapon, I try to use its unique trait or what makes it different than the others. That is why it's only slam and heavy spam. Basic build works, but it's whatever. Also, I don't remember if I format the stance. If you don't want to format the stance, for heavy spam builds, slamming or staying on the ground, the stance doesn't matter. Don't be too worried about that. I know you're seeing 6 format count. I genuinely don't remember what I format. I try to do a lot of format while building, so I have flexibility. That's a free slot. So, with all this information, we're gonna call it here for the Fragor Prime. I hope this is all the information you need. You've seen now how we use its unique ability to make a weapon its own thing and make it special. Try to use it as it is. Use its unique traits to make it different from others. Once again, slam build, I fix it with Influence because this weapon is kinda a heavy spam build with melee Kareen because then you just have a lot of high damage. This is all the information I have to give you. I'm gonna thank you for being here today. Enjoy the Fragor Prime, it's currently in Resurgence, go farm it out. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.